And eventually, when they realized the side effects that it was causing, they took it off the market. They no longer give it to pregnant women. I don't know if anybody can buy it, but I know that they do not subscribe it to women who want to become pregnant or women who are already pregnant to keep miscarriages down. Because it causes a multitude of birth defects, and one of those being a hormonal intersex condition. What does that mean? That means that a person can be born with physical traits of both sexes. And I was that way. Even though I was classified at birth as male and raised as a male, went to school and graduated as a male. If you really looked at me, you could tell. I looked like a girl. I acted like a girl. I sounded like a girl. I never grew any body hair, facial hair. My features never masculinized. And when I was a teenager, my breasts started to grow. My mother took me to the doctor then. He said that I had an overabundance of female hormones going through my system, and that I needed to take male hormones. Thank God that never took place. So, my mother told me all the time that I was trying to figure out what to do about this, that she knew it was her fault because the doctor had given her this medicine. But at that time, it had not been discovered that it actually, there had never been any research on it at that time, that it had actually causes birth defects at the time that I was going through my soul-searching situation. Here I was, looked like a big gal, felt like a woman. I didn't feel like, and I felt like a heterosexual woman, but I didn't feel like a homosexual. I could not stand what I had, what little bit I had. It was never matured. People say, oh, she was born a man. No, I definitely was not a man. I might have had some male characteristics. I might have had a small male sexual organ, but it was so small and minute and childlike and never developed that it was never usable. It was never able to be used in a homosexual relationship. So it was a birth defect. But that's part that people don't understand. They don't know. I've never discussed it. I've always thought that my life was private. Did they not realize the hell I'd already gone through? Did they not realize the ridiculing I had gone through for looking and acting like a girl? For being more comfortable around the other girls? Could they not understand that? But they want to torture me after that. I mean, God, do you never have to stop saying, I'm sorry for being born the way I was born? No. And I won't do it. And I won't be put into a box and say, here's where you stay, because this is what you are. No, I'm so much more than that. And I think one of the reasons that people don't like it is because I go beyond anything that a lot of them can do. I've been all over the world. I've experienced things that most people just wish they could experience, because I know I can. I'm not going to sit here and hide. No, that's not what my life is about. I lived 18 years of misery, being confused, not knowing what I was supposed to be, trying to be what I thought everybody thought I should be. But when I realized that there was help out there was surgery to correct my situation, and I could be physically exactly what I was inside. There was no looking back. There was no question about it. I had corrective surgery at a very young age. And I have lived my life very happily with my head up. And that's what people can't stand. But I didn't live all those years here in Mississippi. I lived in North Carolina. I lived in communities where people didn't know. Actually, my ex-husband had no idea about my past, even after we divorced. So, I mean, it wasn't obvious. I wasn't a male. There was no need to tell. But this husband, I told to begin with. I was older. I was in my 40s. I was living in a part of the world where people were not accepting. And so I told him when I first met him my whole intersex situation. And do you know what I found out? The reason he is so accepting and so loving. He has 2 sisters that are intersexed. They live in Jordan. But the mistake that was made with them is they were corrected as babies. And now he has 2 sisters that should have been brothers. Because they had a problem, they turned them into girls when they should have waited until they were adults and let them make their own decision. So now they're very, very unhappy. And I'm sure if they lived in a part of the world where they could choose, they would have surgery to make themselves into men, because that's what they are inside. It's the way they act. That's their personalities. But it was chosen for them. So my husband understood the situation. He knew it from all of their lives about them. So he wasn't shocked. He was very understanding, very loving. So I was lucky. God sent me someone who would love me regardless and stand behind me regardless. And people just don't want to accept that. It's really sad. But I know when we first came back, I tried to start a emergency shelter, because when Katrina hit, it came to my attention that there were several transgendered people who had been abused during that emergency situation in shelters that they had been put into. And so I thought that we needed to have some kind of shelter that would understand these people, so that they would not be abused, beaten, jailed for being who they were. I took a house that was not being used and was going to use this as a shelter. I fixed the website. And then it came to the city's attention what I had plans to do, and they sent the chief of police and the sheriff to my house to tell me it was against the law to run a business. Even though it wasn't a business, it was just going to be a shelter, a temporary shelter, in case there was another either economic or natural disaster or something, you know. Just to be there in case. But that was the first run-in that we had with the authorities. They said, you can't do this. And you have to take the websites down too, they said. You have to. So we did what we were told. But because we didn't fight that, they started feeling like they had a reason or a right that we weren't going to stand up for ourselves. So they started harassing us when they could. The chief of police would ask my husband repeatedly for his identification when he would be walking to work. He knew exactly who he was. You're going to pull the blue light on him and because he's walking down the street.